executive side of it. So.
Massey, something about him, and I can't remember exactly where this had happened, but he was in a meeting and he was making a speech about who you should vote for. He said if you're in a room and you look around the room and the three most craziest whacked out guys in the room is who you should vote for. And he said, I'll give you an example, Donald Trump and Rand Paul and Tom Massey. I rest my case.
Okay.
He actually said
All right.
And I'm paraphrasing it. I cleaned it up a little bit.
And I'm not sure what his point is on that at all.
I don't know why he said that.
Well, and I don't know why he would. I don't know. Sometimes they say things and you just kind of scratch your head
Why
and go,
would you say that?
and why did you think that was a good idea to say it? You know, I made the point with Bevan is he went down to Laurel County back in November and gave a speech, and he made the point that teachers were unsophisticated to understand the math of the pension. Now, as a former teacher, I will tell you that there are teachers at the high school here and at every high school and even the elementary schools that you start talking math to them and their eyes glaze over because they don't like math and they don't get math. In one essence, Bevan was right. But you can't say that. You can't say that the teachers are not smart enough or unsophisticated enough to understand math. There are teachers who hate math. I have some very good friends who would agree and go, man, I hate math. We used to do basketball stats, and I had a coach, he's like, don't put me in charge of the stats because I hate math. But you can't, as governor, go out and make that statement and just make all the teachers mad. You just look at them and going, do you not have consultants who say you can't do that, or do you just ignore the consultants and the poor consultants are on the side going, ugh. So it's just amazing what comes out of their mouth, and you just shake your head.
Not so diplomatic.
I'd say undiplomatic at all. I think you're being nice saying so not so much diplomatic. I would say they're not diplomatic at all, which sets a bad tone. You know, our politics are already in a very combative state, and we don't need more gas being thrown on the fire that we're in over the last couple of years. So, anything else you want to talk about, or anything else about what's going on with the Democrat Party?
Yeah, I could mention like in previous elections that the polling has not been as correct as or close as it should have been. I think when Allison Grimes ran against Mitch McConnell, she was supposed to be within the margin of error. She lost by, I think, 120,000 votes, something like that.
Yeah, that was a shocker. That was another one that surprised me. I thought it would be closer.
Yeah, and McConnell had an approval rating of like 30%.
Yeah.
And still, and both the Herald and the Courier Journal missed it. And with Conway and Bevan, they were saying Conway was ahead by 5%.
Yeah. And
he was out at Harris, and he was going, too close for comfort, guys. I know him well, but it's too close for comfort. I think he lost by 60,000 votes.
Yeah.
And the Herald and the Courier were going, we're sorry, we don't know what happened there.
Well, what do you think? I mean, because that was the same way with Hillary and Trump.
Oh, yeah.
That the polls indicated something totally different that became reality.
Yeah.
Any thoughts or any discussions in the executive director, or when you're talking to state level people on why the polling's been so wrong in the last 5 years or so?
I don't know. Well, hopefully it would have been better, but nationally, Hillary was set to win in the last, I guess, 10 days or something, or 2 weeks, and then Jim Comey was director of the FBI, released that he was reopening the email investigation because Anthony Wiener's laptop. And she blames it on Comey. And the Trump thing, they were saying that Access Hollywood tape, or, you know, he was talking about...
very graphically talking about things that we probably don't want to repeat
we don't
here.
want to repeat, but
Yeah.
he was doing things that weren't very nice and then bragging about it. And all the Republicans were jumping overboard. They were deserting the ship, you know. And then later on, you know, they came crawling back to him. But then, at about the same time, that's when they started dropping those hacked emails through WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they mentioned too where he had paid those two women to, you know, those disclosure agreements with them, and given them all that money. They said that she should have won for several reasons.
And I don't think that anybody who would say that they're surprised that Donald Trump had an affair, I think's lying. Because I don't think that's shocking that he's not been faithful to his wives, the three of them that he's had. I think everybody kind of went into it expecting he probably has had an affair. I don't think there was a soul shocked that he had an affair. So. Anything else locally? What's going on, or with Democrats? Anything else you want to share?
Hillary, I would like to say something about Hillary. That are you surprised that she's so hated? Universally.
Don, go ahead. Go. You're in front of the camera. But anyhow, you know, I was a big Hillary supporter in the 90s.
Yeah.
I didn't like Bill as much because of the affairs.
Yeah.
But I felt I was a supporter of Hillary because of how she was being treated because of the affairs. And then when it came out that she started blaming the women, and it didn't seem like she blamed Bill, and gave him a pass, that I was like, what? And that turned me off a little bit. You know, now my wife, I don't know, she voted for Hillary in 2008, did not vote for Hillary in 2016. So, you know, and she told me, Hillary won't get the women's vote. And it turned out that she didn't get the women's vote like Obama did. So that was surprising, but Jana predicted that early on, and it was a second case that I thought one thing, that just like Obama received a lot of votes because to make it a historical thing, I thought it would fall that way with Hillary, and a lot of people would vote for Hillary because it was going to be historical as the first woman president. And it didn't turn out like that, which really surprised me.
People generally think that she's 1,000 times worse than the devil. Which means she got like 2,000 horns growing out of her body every spring. She's going to have to cut those off and something.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, for some reason, But, and the thing with Trump now, because it's possible that he committed crimes to win the office. He could have committed crimes. They're saying he committed a crime with the payoffs to those women to keep them fighting. It was a violation of campaign.
If he used campaign funds to do that, then he's broke the law. He of course claims that it was his personal money to do it. It wasn't campaign donations.
So if he may have done that and he's committed a crime, something else was if he conspired with the Russians to win, then that also is a crime. And these are jailable crimes. I mean, he can be sent to jail. But even though it's possible that he committed crimes to win the office, if they prove that he committed the crimes, for instance, Hillary doesn't get to be president. That's not going to happen. Those Supreme Court seats, and possibly 2 of them before it's over, they're not going to revert back. Those guys aren't going to step down. And the tax cut, the $1.5 trillion tax cut, that's gonna stay in place. You know, if you're a drug dealer and you made all kinds of money and you have all kinds of possessions and you have houses and you have boats and you have all this money, you know, you're arrested on that. They're gonna take all that, you know. But if Trump is arrested and sent to jail, everything remains in place.
As far as the Republicans being in charge,
Yeah.
is what you're saying, because
Yeah, I'm
Mike
saying-
Pence would move
Well,
up to be
yeah,
president.
he'd
yeah.
be president, yeah. You know, Hillary's not gonna say she was cheated out of the presidency, bam, she's president. It's
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And, that,
Think she runs in 2020?
no,
You don't think so?
that's not.
Because I know there's been some little things out that maybe she's interested in that, but you don't think any
It's not
chance she
gonna
runs?
happen, no. But yeah, that's the thing, you know, is, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the way it is. They're not, and the Republicans, well, the tax cut too, that, you know, that tax cut, they say, the Republicans are saying that is to help the working class, you know, with taxes, to help the economy, and, but the fact was that they passed that so they could give it to the rich. So that
Well, some of it probably are.
83%.
Well, I know when we did our taxes this past spring, I got into a bad situation because with these small jobs, I found out they weren't taking enough taxes out because like when I work at US Bank, I only made $4,000. So well, they were taking taxes out at $4,000 level. When I added that into my pension that I get for being a retired teacher, made a lot more and should have paid a lot more taxes. So we had to pay a lot of taxes. So in the process of talking to our tax attorney or accountant, whatever he was, he had mentioned that this coming year, where this past year I had to pay 22%, this past year I'll drop, with the tax cuts, I'll drop to 20. So for me as a retired teacher, the tax increase or the tax cuts actually sees my rate that I am responsible for drop 2%.
So
I would have loved to seen it drop 12%, but I'm happy for 2%, any percent. So
But the Republicans, the big corporations and the big companies and the billionaires pump all this money into the Republican coffers, and they expect money back somehow. And that, for instance, deregulation, that's what deregulation's about. If you got EPA regulations that's causing, say, the Koch brothers to lose money, they want those regulations deregulated so it'll mean more money. And they were even telling the Republicans, you know, hey, the piggy bank's closed if you don't give us our tax cut. So what they were doing was, with that tax cut, is just directly give the donors all this money to pay them back for the money they've been pumping into their campaigns. Remember the trickle-down economics, which George Bush called voodoo economics?
when he was running against it.
Yes.
Yes, when he was running against it,
the
yeah.
primary against
Yeah.
Reagan,
Uh-huh.
he called it. John Kenneth Galbraith said that if you feed a horse enough oats, it'll eventually reach the sparrows. And so, yeah, it's trickle down. But that was the big thing. And the Republicans are sort of caught up three ways. They're caught up, for one thing, the donors, you know, which they're getting campaign funds, so they're sort of owned by, which is a plutocracy, a government that is run by the rich. The rich have bought the Republican Party. And the NRA, which they're afraid to vote, like the universal background checks, 93% of the population are for that, but they will not. They will not vote for them because the NRA will primary them and they won't give them any money.
Now, I recently bought a firearm, first time I've ever
Yeah.
bought one last fall, and I had to go through a background check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, and so That's it. And now, so the Republicans are owned by the rich, they're owned by the NRA, and they're also owned by Trump. Trump owns them. And they're scared to death of Trump because he's got that solid 40% base.
Yeah.
And if they go against him, they're gone. Their primary mouth.
You mentioned the Koch brothers earlier, however you pronounce their name.
Koch.
What do you think about 2 weeks ago that they come out against Trump?
Oh, yeah.
And there's a battle going, because that's the big name you hear,
Yeah.
for the Republicans. The Democrats mentioned them as the big boogeyman.
Yeah.
And if you're the
Oh, yeah.
Republicans, you mentioned George Soros and Saul Alinsky as the big
Yeah.
boogeyman.
Yeah.
So each side has their boogeyman. But what did you think about the boogeyman for the Republican, the Koch brothers, coming out against Trump?
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, that,
I forgot, why was that? I forgot why they did that.
the tariffs was a
Oh,
big
yeah, the
thing. They didn't
tariffs,
like
yeah.
the tariffs
They
that
didn't
he
like
had,
the
the trade.
Uh-huh.
Which goes back to your point of the rich companies wanting to have that trade worldwide and those kind of things.
Yeah, it goes, and the whole, right now, I guess, 2018, and I take that all the way back when my father was a coal miner, and it seems like it's the same thing. The rich are for, the Republicans are for the rich, the Democrats are for the poor people. And, the poor people can't put money in the Republicans' coffers because they're poor.
Mhm.
They're not good lobbyists.
Yeah.
But, yeah, essentially was that, and they would say that Democrats are running against Trump, that they're not running for anything. They don't stand for anything, they're just against Trump.
And I think that's normal. I think the Republicans, that charge was made against the Republicans when they were running against Obama,
Yeah.
not for anything. And
Mhm.
and since it's switched powers, now they switch that. You're not running for anything, you're running against Trump. I think that claim goes back and forth depending upon who's in power. That
Yeah.
it's a nice, easy charge to make on the Republicans when it was Obama. Now it's the charge on the Democrats when it's Trump. That, it's funny that sometimes some of the things happen isn't based upon party.
Yeah.
It's based upon just what this country does. Same way, going back to those midterm elections, doesn't matter if you were JFK, FDR, Ronald Reagan, they all lost seats.
Yeah.
Three in the 1990s, or not 1990s, in the 1900s,
Yeah.
that may have been the three names that I hear most, that both parties, their party saying that's the best president of the 1900s.
Yeah.
And they couldn't hold the seats at that first term election.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just, sometimes it's just what we do as a country.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who's in power, it's what we're gonna do.
Yes, the dynamics of it now.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much
Thank
for sitting
you.
it down, talking to you. Like I said, it won't be an interview as much as just a conversation. It's
Yeah.
just talking about it. I think you enjoy politics and the
Oh,
history
yeah.
of politics
Yeah.
as much as I'm fascinated about things that go on and why and those kind of things. So I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Spend some time letting people know what's going on with you all.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, you talked to any of the Democrat candidates.
Yeah.
As we get closer to October,
Yeah.
we want to do these things with them and give them an opportunity to talk straight to the voters
Yeah.
through a video, and that'll be on the falmoutlook.com website. So,
Okay.
all right. Anything else comes up, contact us. Let us know. We'll see what we can
Yeah,
do and different things.
Having worked with the paper and knowing everything about, I want to thank you for doing such a great job.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We've had some people tell us that, and all I tell them is the staff works hard, and that's, we work hard to do our best. We're not going to always hit a home run and out of the park, but we're going to give our best shot to hit a home run out of the park. Sometimes you foul off some pitches. That's just the way it is, and everything doesn't
But
get
you've
perfect.
got the paper sparkling like a diamond.
Well, I don't. The staff does. I appreciate that, but there's a lot of things go on by a lot of people. Tierra's going to be up there typing things for us today. And Neil and Sam working hard on what they're doing, and Jesse does a great job.
Yeah,
And as you well know,
it's not
the
easy.
reporters
Yeah.
are the key there. That the reporters going out, getting stories, talking to people, covering sporting events, that's the backbone. And
Yeah.
so all those unnamed reporters that aren't here every day, that's where the meat of the
Yeah.
paper comes. So, and you well know that because you
Oh,
were
yeah.
one of those for years.
Yeah. And the community can really be proud of the outlet, and I think that.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Thank
We're,
you.
we're gonna try. So thank you
Okay,
again very
thank you.
much. And we appreciate you all tuning in if you've stayed this long. And make sure you watch us and look for all of our videos that'll be coming up throughout the next few months or next few weeks. I will tell you that starting in September, we're gonna have the candidates put a letter into the paper introducing themselves. And that will be through the month of September. And then in October is when we'll start hitting videos and doing stories where we've asked them questions. Also look on our Facebook page because through the month of September, there'll be a pinned note asking you all to submit questions for us to ask these politicians. What do you want to know about what a constable does, or what the judge exec's going to do, or the sheriff, or any of these people? And we're going to invite them all to come in and talk and everything. So if there's not one you have, we've offered the invitation, and we hope to get everybody in here so that you can see what they want to talk about. Thanks again, Mr. McKinney, for coming in, and we're out.